Hey guys, in today's video, we're checking out a super cool product. This is the Mooer Prime P1, and all of your effects, tones, amps, cabs, and everything can live in this pedal. So this is the only pedal that you truly need. And it even includes a wireless foot switch for you to change your patches and go up and down banks and stuff like that. So that is the GTRS S800. It's the same company, same idea. That one has like a super knob and you have all your effects built in there. You program your patches with the app and then you can either change it by pushing the button or using one of these foot switches. That is, specific with that guitar. I did a whole review on that. But now what they have is they have this one. So you can use this with any guitar. You just plug in. You plug in on the top, send the signal out, direct or to an amp or wherever you're trying to go, and you control it with this. So instead of having to use that guitar specifically, you can now use this with any guitar that you want, which is really cool because, I used to gig with my Variax all the time and I loved my Variax. So now I have the option of both if I want like a Fender type of feel or if I want more of a Les Paul type feel with my Variax. This is the only thing that I need in order to gig. This is my entire setup right here. I really like what this company is doing. They did send me this product to check out. It is not a paid video, but seriously, I'm really blown away by how compact this stuff is getting and how usable the tones are, and it's just very, very, very convenient. So we're gonna check this out. I'm gonna review it, show you how to set it up, do a tutorial, go over pros and cons with it, although it's mostly just pros to be honest, and see if this system is right for you. There's also a couple of other options that you can get with this. It comes with this portable good little guitar amps / speaker as well, which is, battery powered. So let's go ahead and check this out and see if it's something you're interested in. All right, so setup for all three of them. So easiest one first, guitar amp. Turn it on. Plug in your wireless or your cable in the top and you play. Volume control is up here on the front. Use the provided cable to charge it and it'll switch to green once it's charged. Congratulations, you know how to use the amp. So for the P1 itself, this thing does have a volume control and you can see how much the light, hopefully my camera picks that up, but it gets way brighter the higher up you go. And it gets dimmer the lower you go. So really nice indicator. You can push the button to cycle through presets, which I'll show you how to do here in a minute. On the top, you have input. So, I'm using wireless guitar, plugs into the in, and then the output plugs in here and you send it wherever you're trying to send the signal to. So to an interface is what I'm going to be doing since I'm going to be recording all of this into Logic. And of course, if you need to charge, use the provided cable at the end and charge it. And it does stay on while it's charging. So you can always keep this just plugged in and use it while it's charging. Also, you have a spot on the top to plug in headphones if you would like to listen quietly. So it works very well as a practice device as well. This device can also be discovered as a Bluetooth device. So you can connect it to, say, your iPhone or something like that. And then you can play, backing tracks or a song into it and listen to it with headphones. So you can play along to the music. And you do have a mixer setting in the app, which I'll show you here in a little bit. So you can record this direct over USB. So you can just go USB-C out into your computer. It should recognize it as an audio device and you can record just directly into your computer into like Logic or something like that over USB. Very cool, very minimum design. You can see how small this device is. Very, very tiny. Very cool. Okay, so for the foot switch, so obviously you can cycle through different patches, which we're going to set up here in a minute, but you have A, B, C, and D. Pushing the two buttons, A and B, will scroll down through the presets all the way to 0 to 9, and then pushing C and D together will scroll up through the patches. Holding any of the buttons will get you into tuner mode, which I'll show you here in a minute. My guitar isn't plugged in yet. Pushing these two buttons together will get you into looper mode, which we'll explore a little more in a little bit. And this is one of my favorite features, which I did not know about this when I did the GTRS review. If you push the button again of whatever patch you're on, so if I'm on, let's say I'm on 0A, if I push it again, now it's in tap tempo mode, and you can see when you have the two dots show up. So if you have a delay, you are now tapping in the tempo of your delay. And believe it or not, in order to charge it, you plug it in just like all the other devices. It'll blink up here and it'll turn solid when it is charged all the way. This is also a device that you can use while it is charging. Okay, for using the device, hold the button and it turns on. You're going to load the Prime P1 app. I will post a link down in the description down below. I found it by searching Prime P1, but it looks like this. Agree to allow it to do Bluetooth and the privacy policy. It's going to search for the device. Takes a second, and scan the QR code to activate Prime. So it's on the back of your device. So I'm going to do that. Grant access to the camera. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch on the wireless foot controller, and it gives you instructions like this. So it says to push buttons A and C together for about 3 seconds. And you can see on here when I push the buttons, so it's going to be blue, and then it's going to change to a different color, and a different color. So now all these devices are talking to each other wirelessly. And there you go. Now you're set up and you're ready to go. So I've got the app pulled up right here. Everything's all plugged in. So again, you hit this Bluetooth button up here on the side, and I've already named mine to Scott P1. So something really interesting is you have different modes here. So I can load electric guitar, bass guitar, or acoustic guitar. So I'm on electric guitar mode right now. But if I hit bass guitar, first of all, it would say, do you want to update the firmware? I don't want to do that. But you can see that this one is specifically meant for bass guitar. So I would definitely do a backup before you do any of these. And then you can see here's acoustic one. So if you want to use this specifically with your acoustic, you can choose if you're using this with electric, bass, or acoustic guitar. Super cool. Load the electric guitar setting. And then here's where you're into the app. Now I've already programmed a couple of patches. And again, you can see when I push either the button on the Bluetooth controller right here, it'll cycle through them, or it can also cycle through it by pushing the button on the P1 itself. So the first thing I recommend that you do is you click this button right here, and you're going to kind of just scroll through some of the different presets. You know, here's a 12 bar, so I'm assuming this is like a blues stuff. So you can either be scrolling through here and go through different presets, or what you can do is you can go up here and go to the tone library. Say you're looking for more of a pop type sound. Here's a lead. I don't really care for those too much, so let's find kind of more of a rock. So here's AC/DC. And not really. Pretty good. But you know, then let's say I wanted to find a jazzy one. Jazz lead. Let's hear frog medley. So go ahead and in that one, that's where you can kind of mess with the tones and kind of get to a good starting point. And then when you're happy with it, you can push this save button and it'll save into one of the certain locations. I am going to show you how to do that here in a minute. So what you can see here is you can see your signal change. So you have overdrive, amp, cab, dynamics, modulation, delay, and reverb. And you can click and drag these into any order that you want. So if you want the overdrive to come after the amp and cab simulation, you can do that. If you want your dynamics, so your like compression to come before it, you know, if you want your reverb to go before the amp or something like that to do some really trippy effects, you can do that. So your signal chain is up here. But then what you can do is you can start to cycle through these. So say I'm not a fan of this 808 type of sound, so I can click the 808 and it brings up all these different options. And you can see the different color codings, which is really nice. So this green is more of a clean tone, orange is more of like an overdrive, and then these red ones are much more distortion. So it's nice that they give you that. So here's just a pure boost. You're not going to hear that much because the amp has distortion, but if I change it to like... Let me go ahead and do this actually. I'm going to just set the amp just really quick to just a clean one so you can really hear the difference in these distortions. Obviously, it's not going to sound great. I'm just showing you how the different distortions sound. Let me go to like some of these higher end ones. So I'm gonna settle on this one. Now, once you're done with that, once you've decided which one you want, you can push this button again, and now you have different other controls. So you can decide how much gain you want, the tone, darker, brighter, and the volume of the pedal. All right, so there's some overdrives. Let's move on to the dynamics. You either get noise gate, compressor, touch wah, or auto wah. I'm gonna go ahead and do a compressor, and you get your standard settings right here. So a little bit more. The level of the compressor really is very sensitive. Right? Also, of course, you obviously have a noise gate and you set the threshold of where that's at. If you're getting a lot of buzz, that can be really helpful. If I was doing a noise gate, I would put it at the beginning. All right, let's get to the amps because the amps are obviously a really important part of this. So, and again, they have it organized this way with clean as the green one, and then more distortion as the red one. And you have 52 different amps to go through in here. I'm going to turn the distortion off. So you're basically just hearing the amp. And I'm going to turn the reverb off as well. And the way you do that is just, you know, push the button and it turns them on or off. Here's a... kind of nice sounding. I like the sound of that one. That's my testing the clean tone type of sound in this one. A little quiet, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the button again. Oh, the master's already pretty high. I'm going to bump the gain because it's a clean. And then, of course, you know, you can mess around with the tone. So if the bass is too much, I want more treble and more mids. You can mess around with it there. There's no way I'm going to go through 52 of these, you know, but just kind of choose one that you think sounds the best. Way too dark. And then let's get to some of the distorted ones. I always like the Soldano one. So let's go with that just for right now. That's kind of the tone, you know, closer to what I want. I want a little more drive, a lot more mids, a little more treble, and a little bit more presence. Right? So you're happy with that type of tone. Moving on to the cabs, you have 25 different cabs. Listen to how much the tone changes when you change the cab. The cab is really where you get a lot of your tone. I found that usually, this one's usually a triple rec. That's nice. Do like a diesel. Not quite what I'm looking for with this one though. So let's stick with this one. You hear how much the cab changes everything, so definitely mess around with your cabs for sure. I showed you the overdrives. For modulation, you do get quite a few different effects. So you have a phaser, step phaser, flanger, tremolo. The tremolo is actually really nice. So if I was going to play that song, I want the mix up a lot. The pitch shift, I'll get to my rant about that later. The pitch shift is almost useless. This thing is amazing. Pitch shift is pretty useless. Rotary. Ring modulator. Really crazy stuff. I'm not a modulation guy, really. Let's hear some of these delays, though. So a digital. Analog. Which I usually like. Analog or tape. Real echo. Tape. Modulation. Pretty cool. And of course you get a nice reversal. Really trippy stuff. And of course, with all of them, you do get control over it. So the level, how much that you hear it, how much it feeds back. And then of course, the time. And again, remember, you do get control over that by whatever patch you're on. And you usually want to do it 3 times. And then it figures it out. And see how it sped it up on the app. So you do get a tap tempo with that foot switch as well, which is really cool. And as far as reverbs, let's go to kind of a cleaner tone. These reverbs are pretty nice. Hall reverb. Do a lot, just so you can hear it. Really nice hall reverb for sure. I love a good hall reverb. Here's room. Nice and definitely more subtle. I'm more of a hall guy. Plate. Spring. And modulation. Turn that up so you can... Definitely more for, you know, trippy types. If you want to get really trippy. So, I mean, that's basically how you use the signal chain. Pretty basic. Okay, and then once you're happy with it, what you're going to do is you're going to push this little save button up here, and you're going to decide where you want to save it. So I actually kind of liked the way that that Heaven's Door one kind of sounded, so I'm not going to save over it. So I'm going to save over this one. So this is, I'm going to just save it YouTube because it's a YouTube demo. So that's the tone that I like. That's what I came up with. And then of course, obviously, you can cycle through 9A, B, C, and D using the foot switch. And of course, you can also scroll up or down from the patches. So if I want to go to 0, you know, or back to 9, I can do that as well. But let's go back to our YouTube one. And I'll show you some of the controls. So up here, these are where you have your different controls up here. This whole time we've been under the wrench, which is where you do all of your settings in here. So yeah, I already showed you up here. This is where you can get to your tone library so you can check out some of the tones. And again, remember, if you do find one that you like, say you like this one, you hit save and then save it to the location that you would like to override this. But I do not want to do that, so I'm going to just cancel this. Up here, you have your settings. So you have different controls over Bluetooth, USB, the instrument, and just the master. So if you are going out USB and instrument, you have two different separate controls over that. It's a master controls. And of course, you always have this question mark button up here if you ever need to figure this stuff out. Down at the bottom, if you push home, it'll take you back to this screen. You do get a battery indicator, which is really nice. Hitting this P1 button up here, you can log in, you can save. I need to actually do this so that I can save stuff and upload them. I will do that by the time this video comes out. Okay, so when you go over here and you click clouds, you can see all the patches that people have uploaded. You can see clean, low gain, or high gain, or you can search up here at the top. So if you want to find metal tones, you can search metal, and it'll bring up what metal tones you have. Hitting this V button, I think, means verified. I'm not quite sure. You can arrange by oldest to newest, and then to scroll down, you can check out the ones that are available for you. If you want to try one out, push the play button and it'll load it up and you can hear how it sounds. And if you like it, you can hit the download button and you can save it to whatever location that you want. This guy, Anything by Chris Nico, Neko, he's got some really good patches in here. So I definitely recommend checking those out. An important thing you can do is to back up. So if you click your account up here at the top and then click backup, you can hit backup and it'll back up your device. And you can see it's backing up right now. And if you ever do lose it or whatever, you can always hit restore and it'll restore from backup. And then you can also upload by clicking this upload. So let me choose one of my patches. I'm going to upload this up to the cloud. Here's my clean patch. I'm going to upload it. I'm going to call it Scott Ewell Music Clean. You'll be able to find all of mine based on Scott Ewell Music. And now it is uploaded. Settings, here's some different options that you have. Are you going into a power amp or into an interface mixer? And you can turn off cabinet simulation if you are going into like a cab or something like that. You do have a global EQ, which you can turn on or off. Your input gain, so how hot is the signal going in? So if you are clipping, that's a really nice feature to be able to turn that down. Sleep settings, how long does it take for it to go to sleep? I have mine set to never. You can rename the Bluetooth here and you can check the version to see if you need to update the firmware, which is really nice. Tools over here, it's a couple other things you get. So you get a metronome if you want to practice to a metronome, and you can change, you know, the type of settings. You do have a drum machine and all sorts of different options. You do get a tuner, which is really nice. And you do have a looper in here. Terrible loop, but you know, the option is in there. And again, you do get controls over that with the foot switch. Push the two middle buttons and you get into looper mode. First button is record, so record. And it is waiting for like an audio signal. Now it's in play mode. I can go back to overdub if I want. Stop. Bring in the drum machine on the fourth one, or erase by pushing these two buttons together. So if you do ever accidentally get into looper mode, and it starts to go, push these 2 buttons to get out of it. I've made that mistake live before. And also, you could set the drum machine volume to 0 if you don't want to ever accidentally trigger that. But there you go. That's basically how the app works. So pretty intuitive. It actually makes a lot of sense. Pretty easy to use. Now I'm going to show you some of the tones that I came up with. Okay, so it is pretty straightforward on how to use it with an app. I mean, if you've used any apps or, modeling or anything like that, it's pretty familiar. Only thing that I wish this thing had was a decent pitch shifter. The pitch shifter is it is useless, basically. It does not track well at all. So if you're trying to do like a fake bass type of tone, it does not work. I did demo that in the S800 video. If you do want to hear a demo of it, I wish that the pitch shifter was usable. Even if it's not polyphonic, even if it was just a monophonic pitch shifter so I could do bass lines, that would be cool. But yeah, I mean, this thing is awesome. This thing is really, really cool. And I honestly can't say enough about it, but I highly recommend it. It's really cool. And as much as I love that GTRS guitar, and I'm still going to continue to use it and gig with it, it has been really nice because over the last couple of weeks, I've been gigging with my Variax again. And as someone who's always just been a Les Paul player, I've just always been Les Paul style body, scale length, all that type of stuff. It's really nice to return home to playing Les Paul style guitar. I'm going to continue to use both, but now I have that option because I use this with my Variax. Sometimes I'm going to bring both to a show and I'll have 2 wireless pedal boards. This one will be when I want more of a Fender Tele Strat type of sound, and this one is when I want to use my Variax Les Paul type of sound. I can't tell you the number of times I've showed up to a show and like a sound guy or another guitar player is like, "What is that? Like, that's your pedal board? Is that a Bluetooth pedal board?" And then I explain it to them and they're just like, "Whoa, that's nuts. I've never seen anything like that before." I brought this to a show. I brought the GTRS one to a show where I did a fill-in gig for, and they said, "You've mastered music minimalism," which I have a portable in-ear monitor system, portable wireless guitar system, and now I have a portable battery-powered Bluetooth guitar pedal board. And it is funny to think back. I started with a half stack. I never had a full stack, but I had a half stack, and then I switched to a combo amp, and then I switched to the Helix, and then I switched to the HX Stomp, and now I have switched over to this. It was funny, I brought this to another show, and this was my pedal board. The other guitar player who played mandolin as well, he had like a double, a huge pedal board and a Helix setup. It was just the complete opposite of mine. It was pretty funny. But yeah, this thing is awesome. I honestly can't say enough good things about it. I highly, highly recommend it. Even if you just want to use it as a backup, if you have a main rig and you're happy with your rig, having this as a backup, I always preach about having a backup. When this video comes out, I should just be coming back from playing in Dominican for a week, hopefully with the hurricanes and all that stuff. That's going to be my main guitar. And then I'm going to bring this as a backup just in case if something happens with the super knob, if a wire gets unconnected or something and needs to be repaired and I can't use it, this will be my backup device. So now I have a backup device on top of my main rig. That's another huge plus about how to use this. I recommend at least getting just this and the FOOTSWITCH for sure. I do recommend getting this little speaker as well. It is nice just to have a portable battery-powered speaker around. I am glad that I have it. If you do have a specific guitar that you want to use this with, the P1 is a good way to go. If you do want to have one where the guitar, it's an all-in-one, this is the S800, and I recommend watching my video on that, of course. They did just come out with the P800. Everything in the guitar, all the effects in the app is still the same, but it's a better built guitar with like locking tuners, better pickups, better bridge and stuff like that. But I do plan to eventually get the P800, so don't forget to subscribe to see that video when it comes out. So it is really nice to have everything all on the guitar, and to have that button that you can push. Gigging with it lately with my Variax, I found myself going to push that button and I'm like, oh, I can't do that. I have to hit the foot switch. So I almost want to find a way to like mount this to my Variax. So if I figure that out, I'll post it on my Instagram or something like that. So yeah, overall, I can't recommend this enough. This is so cool. And this is my main rig now. It's either going to be the S800 or my Variax with this. I love it. Many thanks to Mooer for sending me this product to check out. I'm a huge, huge fan of it. Purchase links will be down in the description down below. They're Amazon affiliate links. It doesn't cost you anything to use those links, and it is a free way to support the channel, so I would appreciate it. That's basically it. Hope to help you guys out. If you guys made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, just hit the thumbs up button. I hate asking for it. It's annoying, but it truly does help feed the YouTube algorithm, so I would appreciate it. Again, check out my video on the S800 if you haven't seen that. That thing is really cool. Don't forget to check out some of my other videos, which you can find on your screen now. I've reviewed a ton of different products, and especially some cheap gear for musicians you might want to check out. Don't forget to follow me on my social media pages at Scott Ewell Music on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.